Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in our YouTube series again with the Ethnic Studies Department. Today we have Professor Martinez with us, and she can tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi, I'm glad to be with you. I'm Dr. Donna Martinez, professor in ethnic studies, and I chaired the department for 15 years here. My PhD is in political science from the University of Washington. I graduated magna cum laude, and I've written 6 books. So I am happy to be with you today, Janice.
Thank you. So we'll get started. Our first question for you is, why and how did you get into ethnic studies?
Well, I was a student and I did independent studies with faculty who were such great mentors. I just found a home there and I couldn't stop reading ethnic studies. I could not stay away from those sections of books in the library or the bookstore. All the information to me was new and exciting and hadn't been in K-12 or my other college courses. And it was about my family and my friends. And it was just the most rewarding experience I had had. I was really fully engaged in ethnic studies classes. And then, of course, the faculty made such a difference. I think they got me through all of my degrees, including my PhD, so that they were really interested in mentoring. I was an individual to them. They knew about me. They knew about my children. It was a community and a sense of belonging that they gave. And I hear from you, our students here too, that they say every semester they love being an ethnic studies student. They have at least one class they can look forward to. So that's the way I felt also.
That's nice. Yeah. When I got into ethnic studies, that's how I felt. I loved one of the first classes that I took, and then I just wanted to take more after that.
Yeah, it's addicting. You got to be.
Yeah.
So I think at that time, I was a single mom and people used to say, get a business degree so you can get a job. But I couldn't stop taking these classes. And look, you never know when you do things that are meaningful where it leads to.
Thank you for that. So my next question for you is there anything in the ethnic studies that has changed from the time that you were a student to now?
Yeah, we have a lot more science and health students. So our alum, for example, we've got a vet, we've got a doctor, pharmacist, a mental health counselor. We've got students in dental school and nursing school. So that's a change, I'd say, within the last decade or so. And it might be particular to this campus with the medical school here. That's been an influence, I know. But I would say the thing that hasn't changed since ethnic studies started in the late 1960s. So we've been around for over 50 years now. And there are times when you feel like you have to defend your existence or defend what you're teaching or what your major is. And then we're often underfunded as well. So that hasn't changed, unfortunately.
Hopefully it changes in the years to come. That would be nice.
Yes.
Why do you believe ethnic studies is important? And how do we benefit from ethnic studies?
It's critical. Ethnic studies is a retention tool. This has been found in studies, also from, our alum, from my experience, another faculty on this campus that took ethnic studies classes as an undergrad said he wouldn't be a college graduate without it. So again, it's a retention tool for students. Um, and I think that studies have found that very fact, that ethnic studies is a retention tool. It keeps students in school. When it's offered in the high schools, it keeps students in high school to complete their degree there. So ethnic studies is very important. And other studies have found that having a mentor is the #1 factor in student success. So ethnic studies, with our emphasis on being mentors to students, it's just a natural environment for students to really excel in. And then I also think ethnic studies is important where we're at. So, like many campuses, ours is an urban campus with a demographic. Our student population, it's called a majority minority campus. So, the majority of our first year students are coming from diverse backgrounds, racial and ethnic. So, this department is again a place of support for students from all backgrounds. And I also think ethnic studies is important because our workplaces are so diverse. And so employers are looking for students that have cultural competency skills. And I heard from an alum, um, a number of them, but one I remember years ago, she was interviewing at a university in Oregon for a position in student advising, I think it was. And she said that when they saw ethnic studies on her resume, they said, oh, this is really important. We really, need a person with this background here. So again, it's a plus for our students, whatever field they're going to go into. So for those reasons, I found it was a benefit to so many of our students I've taught over the past, decades now. Um, yeah.
So my next question for you is, what are some projects that you're working on right now?
Oh, well, I'm currently working on my current book manuscript is on a female chief um, with University of Oklahoma Press. I'm really excited because she's an incredible role model. And I think all our young people need to know about her and the struggles she overcame and the leadership that she provided. So I'm very excited. Every day that I'm able to work on it is it's a good day for me.
What are some projects that you've done before, like in the past?
I've served on a lot of boards in the community, and I've written several other books, a lot of articles. Educational disparities has interested me that so many students face in high school with dropout rates, but also in college, with our retention rates in college. Um, so those are the issues I've been drawn to, and to the boards I've served on included serving as president of the Colorado Indian Education Foundation, as vice president of the Denver Indian Center. So the Indian Centers were set up when we were moved with our families in the 1950s from reservations to cities, and we didn't lose culture. We right away set up Indian Centers where we hold cultural events and social events. So it was wonderful to serve on that board. I was on the founding member of the Denver American Indian Commission, which was rewarding work. And I served on a lot of committees for the American Indian College Fund because, again, I believe education, creates positive change in people's lives. And I've served, of course, on a lot of university committees, a lot.
So my next question, you kind of touched base on a lot of it already, but how have you contributed to the department, to ethnic studies in general, and to the community?
Well, I think this particular department has a really unusual history in that it's had two long-term chairs. So about 30 years, it was chaired by two people. Our founding director was Dr. Cecil Glenn, and he served as director for 12 years, and I followed him, and I chaired here for 15 years. I came in 2002, and I had chaired for 2 years before I came here. I came from Cal Poly to Denver. Denver excited me because the student population here, a lot of first generation students. I was a first generation student. A lot of diverse students. We're the most diverse campus in the state. So there were just so many draws here, along with a large American Indian population. So again, the majority American Indians don't live on reservations. The majority live in cities like Denver. Denver has one of the largest populations. So all of that drew me here. Um, when I came as chair, though, we had two minors. We didn't have a major. and we had 2 faculty members. So we were quite small. Again, the problem of not getting resources that we needed. Um, we didn't have scholarships for our students or courses in high schools. No, we had one course in a high school um, ethnic studies course. And within a few years after I came, we were the largest minor in the college. And our student credit hours had grown so much. So when I came for an interview here, I saw that in this urban area, there was enormous potential for growth. And I also was just really lucky to work with a great team of people. So when I came, Dennis Green, who's still in our department, was here. Boy, was that a great piece of luck. You know, students love Dennis. And he and I taught big courses of 60 to 80 students. And that just really created the growth in the department. I also had Rosendo was a lecturer here in Asian American Studies. Steve Eslery was program assistant. And then he was followed by Jennifer Williams. In a few years, we hired Dr. Paula Espinoza in Chicano Studies. And a few years later, we hired Dr. Rachel Harding and Dr. Faye Coronin. And Dr. Coronin has served as chair for 3 years now. And again, it was just every hire was lucky. Every person was totally committed to ethnic studies, to our students. You know, footnotes are nice, but in ethnic studies, we came about because students and the community protested to demand ethnic studies classes. So it's a different beginning than most other programs. And so we really owe a debt to our students and to our community. And we take that very seriously. Um, so we have particular priorities that are often focused on students.
That's so exciting to see how much it's grown.
Yes, amazingly so.
Um, what's one change within the community or the society you hope to see in your lifetime?
Well, I have a wish list of a few things.
Yeah, you can go ahead and list all of them.
Okay, I'll be brief, but I would love to see ethnic studies required in high schools in Colorado, like it is in California.
Yes.
Yes, California just passed that. Um, so students that way would know about ethnic studies when they come to campus. They'll know, oh, I could major in English or history or math or, but a lot of times I've had students who take ethnic studies their last semester at the university. They finally have room for elective, and then they'll say, I wish I had known about this sooner. So again, I really want students in high schools. It helps with their retention rates to prevent high school dropouts. So I'd love to see ethnic studies courses required in Colorado high schools in my lifetime. I would love to see an ethnic studies course required on our campus. So, we offer a couple of cultural diversity classes along with all the other departments, all the other schools. So, engineering offers a couple of cultural diversity classes, everyone does. But where I was chairing before at Cal Poly, an ethnic studies course was required. And I really do think I would love to see an ethnic studies course required on our campus. Also, I think it's very important that in teacher education, that people in those programs be required to take at least one ethnic studies course. The student demographics that a lot of our teachers, work with are, again, very diverse students. Um, in DPS, Denver Public Schools, it's a majority of diverse students are the pupils that teachers are working with. So this would really help them in their job and professional development, and address educational disparities. Just a couple more. So I would like to see for my students that I've worked with over the years, student debt be reduced or canceled. It's a huge burden on students. So many of my students are first generation students, as I was. So, sometimes taking out debt is the only way you get through school. So you come out with, a huge debt burden a lot of times. I'm a grandmother. I've paid on my student loans for 30 years. I'm still paying. So again, I think that that's a problem and a burden that I wish our students didn't have to worry about. That's one of the reasons that our department has worked so hard to offer scholarships to our ethnic studies students. So we have a very high number of scholarships compared to much larger departments. And that was, again, a top priority for us because we know how much our students do struggle financially. Last couple of things, I would like to go even further, and I'd like to see in my lifetime free college and tech school education for our young people. This exists in France and Scandinavian countries. When I was in Germany, people there told me it doesn't cover just tuition and fees, but it also can provide free room and board. I was amazed. And I went to one of the school cafeterias for college students. Very good food, it was all very nice, very healthy, great quality. So why can't we provide that to our young people, invest in their futures? They give back so much to us. I'd love to see that. I think one of the next last things I thought of, um, I'd like to see administrators, college administrators, have some kind of background in ethnic studies. So all the committees that I attended, for example, when I was trying to get the ethnic studies major, no one there had taken an ethnic studies class. They didn't know what ethnic studies was, which is fine, but if anything, they knew stereotypes about ethnic studies, which any of us that take classes know aren't true. So I'd love to see administrators have some kind of background in ethnic studies, some kind of knowledge and experience and exposure. Um, I'd also, the last thing I thought of, I think this is the last. Oh no, I've got a couple more. Um, I wanted to see all citizens um, be educated on diversity and cultural competency in a democracy. It's essential knowledge in a democracy to create civil discourse in a democracy. I also want ethnic studies to have department status. Most majors do have department status. We haven't been awarded that just yet. Um, I think I got, oh, one more thing for our students. I would love to see a laptop lending program and also, Wi-Fi hotspots for our students. Not all students have access. And when you're taking classes online, as many students are doing right now, we have books in a library you can check out. Could there be a laptop lending program for students that, do need extra resources? So I could go on, but most things would be related to supporting our students because our students are everything to us.
Very nice answers. Yes. I appreciate everything that the Ethnic Studies Department has done. I was actually one of the scholarship recipients this year, so I do really appreciate that. It does help me not have so much of a financial burden, and it does help me focus more on my studies, which is really, really nice.
It's so kind of you to mention that. It was really important to us. And again, our founding director, Dr. Cecil Glenn, started the first scholarship. Then the Hermosillo family, who's connected to our past program assistant, Steve Eslery. And then Dr. Paula Espinosa has started a scholarship. My husband and I have a scholarship. So it's really the people in the department that are so invested in our students that really want to see this support for our students. So I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Right. Um, my next question, this is my last question for you, is what is some advice you would give for students who are majoring or minoring in ethnic studies, or even students who are interested in taking these classes that are majoring in different fields? What kind of careers can they get out of having an ethnic studies background?
Oh, that is such a good question. We have interviews now on 30 of our alums. They're working in every job you can think of that other liberal arts students work in. as I mentioned before, they're also working in health-related fields and science fields. So some of the jobs, we've got someone working at the Colorado State Legislature. They're working in, public schools and higher education, so at different universities and in K-12. We've got students working, oh, I wish I could remember everyone, Centro Humanitario, so at nonprofits, at the African Cultural Community Center. So nonprofits, government, schools, um, oh, Denver Health, Children's Hospital. Oh, I should have prepared for this question, but they really end up working everywhere that other students do. So if you major in history, where do you end up working with a bachelor's? Or in philosophy, any of these, a bachelor's in English. So all kinds of liberal arts students work in different careers, and our students do too. But they find that their work in diversity is a real plus in their job in terms of promotions and hiring. So they've got a little bit of an edge over some other liberal arts, maybe, at least in their view, they do.
Very nice. Before we end our session, is there anything else that you would like students to know, just in general, like about yourself or about the department?
I'd like them to know that I've mentioned I was a first generation student. So again, I didn't know what I didn't know. So when you don't know how things work, you can always ask faculty in ethnic studies. We're happy to be there for you, to give you, our experience and what we know. I think too, I'd like students to know I went through all my degrees as a single parent. So, the financial struggle is a hard one, and I worked. Um, I think something a lot of students don't know about me is that before going on to get graduate degrees, I was one of the first women on an oil refinery crew in the 1970s. So ethnic studies people often, the faculty have often done very interesting things in their lives, not just written footnotes, which is important, but a lot of other things too. And it's always fun to hear what people's hobbies are. And our program assistant too. So Terry, I mean, she is so interesting to talk to. So I think, there are just great people to connect to in ethnic studies for students, and, take the time to get to know us. We love to get to know our students.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Martinez, for interviewing with us today.
Thank you, Janice.